Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Sleep In Sunday, and it's Q&A day again. Live Q&A with everybody from the Wisdom of the Sages retreat. We're having a little transcendental party here. Life's a party. That's a bumper sticker right there. Life's a party, but make it a transcendental party. Make it a party that wakes you up, fills your heart filled with joy, gets you less attached to the things that are making you miserable, more attached to the things that are making you happy. Eat good food with good, loving people who've got your back. It's a party. It's a Sankirtan party. Good morning, Kastuba.
Good morning, Rob.
Me and Kastuba, we bonded yesterday over some foosball.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
I had him in the beginning.
He had me. He was doing very, very good. He didn't know I was
Came back.
pulling back. I was pulling back to give him a false sense of security. And then bam, bam. He's like, oh, this guy's a pushover.
He suckered me. He hustled me.
Hustled him. Oh, so we're having a nice time at Great Kirtan last night, with Seth and Damodar Priya were here. And yeah, just, it was just a nice, sweet day with sweet people.
Lovely day.
And we have a whole nother day of it today.
All right.
Looking forward to it. So today's Q&A day. If you're new to the show, welcome. We study the Srimad Bhagavatam every day, but on weekends we do some Q&A and from our listeners. And if you have a question, you can write it into Miss Mara, Wisdom of the Sages 108@gmail.com. Or if you're listening to on one of the podcast platforms or YouTube, you can write Mara to get the secret codes to enter into our Zoom coven. And then that way you can be part of our little private gang. Okay. So any announcements, Miss Mara?
Back to recovery group meeting at 9:30 today. And did we decide on what time our show will be tomorrow?
Tomorrow. What's going on tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Monday. It's the last day of our retreat.
Tomorrow's a problem. Well, 8:00.
All right.
8
8 a.m.
o'clock.
show tomorrow. 8 a.m. show tomorrow.
Okay.
That's all we know for now.
Don't you like this? We just figured it out on the spot. That's exciting.
Mhm. And happy birthday to Jen Hunt.
Jen Hunt, Harry Bowl, one of our regular Zoomers out there. Love to have her. She's just a great person, part of this community. Give a big shout out to her. We've done transcendental adventures around the world, India and Nepal, and we're happy you are a regular at Super Soul Farm, Jen Bowl. Spent her birthday with us. It's nice, isn't it?
Wonderful.
Yeah. All right, Kastuba, we got some questions today.
Let's bring him on.
Let's bring them on. Who's first?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, Happy Jack had a question.
Let's bring Happy Jack. Let's get
Let's hear it for
Happy Jack. It's a very suiting name. The man is very happy. Have you noticed that?
And the fact that his name is Jack just completes the whole thing.
Yeah. Hey, Happy Jack, briefly, just to give us a little backstory about you and your Bhakti path. I know you're a yoga studio owner. You're from Canada, but you currently live in Boston. Want to talk about yourself a little bit and just give us a little bhakti background?
Okay. Yes, I been a yoga teacher for many years and decided we've got a yoga school and decided we wanted to really bring more integrity to our teachings. And so I wanted to go back to school. I thought I'd be studying the Yoga Sutras, maybe a little bit of Bhagavad Gita. Had applied to grad school, didn't get in first time, realized that I needed a little bit more academic support, got to know Professor Edwin Bryant and spent a year with him. Really, it was a transactional thing. I wanted to do well in class, so he might write me a letter of recommendation, which he did, and he got me in. But he also had me fall in love with bhakti. That wasn't planned, and so
Oh, it was. It wasn't your plan.
right, somebody else's plan. And so, I mean, yeah. So the last few years, just really been into bhakti. Ended up here is my third time here now in 6 months. Listening to the podcast as an other every day, and happy to be here.
Well, that's a great story. Yeah, there's a thing about bhakti is we feel like it's our duty to give it to others. If you're feeling something good, just like if I eat something delicious, like, oh, you got to try this, right? Or if you see a good movie, you got to watch this. And in bhakti, it's the same way. You feel like, okay, I've transformed. I want to give this. And that way, it's a sort of a payback to our teachers, because you can't really pay back a teacher for what they've given you, but you can pay it forward. And so Professor Bryant, who's a very serious bhakti yogi practitioner, he can't help but give it because he's so filled with that love. And he's so learned and wise and funny and relatable that you were doomed to fall in love with Krishna after you meet him. And now you're in a very fortunate place. Your material life is doomed, should I say.
Yes.
You're very fortunate, Prabhu. All right, Happy Jack. What is your question, sir?
The question I came into the retreat with, I mean, it's not such a strong emotion anymore after spending a day and a half here. I just got to quickly say, it's such a privilege to spend every day with the two of you, listening. And obviously the dynamic on the podcast is one thing, but being in here in person is very different. Like 2 hours yesterday with Kastuba, just going so deep and just such wisdom and articulation and presence. It was just so beautiful. And it's just such a beautiful balance with Raghu, who's the energy and the storytelling. And I don't know, it's a different experience here. So the question I have, it's not so charged, but it's still there. And so I guess it's an insecurity I have, when I think about choosing a faith tradition. And as you say, I've found bhakti, it feels right. I'm practicing it sincerely and with a lot of discipline. I'm moving into the Boston Temple in January.
What?
Yeah. I'm there anyway, like, because anytime now I'm going to be back in Canada.
We're going to talk to you first.
Because soon I'm going to be back in Canada without, that kind of opportunity. So I'm like, I'm going to take this for a semester and just see how it feels and associate. So anyways, I'm very committed to the practice. But I'm also, if I look at my track record, I know at times, I've gone all in with other yoga teachers or all in with other personal development teachers, and they weren't bad decisions, but they were temporary. I do this for a little bit, then I do that. And this is from what I understand, something a lot more, well, it's eternal. It's for this lifetime. It's multiple lifetimes. It's a big decision. And, there's just that little insecurity that I have, am I making the right decision? And I'm sure that if I was considering other faith traditions, whether it was Christianity where I grew up with, or, I think about Sufism, I've met a really great Sufi and he's such a beautiful soul. Maybe that's it. And so the mind is like, is it this? Is it that? And I guess I'd love to get to a place where I guess I have a stronger faith. And I know that devotees, innocently say, well, just keep associating with devotees and keep chanting your mantra. And I get that would help me to deepen my Krishna consciousness. But if there is that possibility that this isn't the path for me, how do I know that it is the path so I can continue to go deep? And so that's what the question I came in with. I will say that yesterday, in addition to the two of you, having so many great conversations with the other yogis here has helped shed some light on that. But it's still something that I know will continue to come up.
Sure. Great question. These are natural questions for a person getting serious about their spiritual life. Happy Jack, thank you. And they will come up. We never throw out the discerning mind. At the same time, it's like you're shopping for, produce. You got to discern. You can't say, okay, this should I get the organic avocados or the other ones? This one feels ripe. I want to eat it today, but this one actually seems organic, and I think maybe I should invest in the organic one. And you actually have to weigh things out, so to speak. Maybe I'll go to another market. And there's an importance of using discernment, but there's also a problem with analysis paralysis, where you just like you gotta pull the trigger and step forward at some place. And he is pulling the trigger, but as you get, all I can say is you have to shop around. That's important, and at least because that way you can say, at least you'll feel you know what, I've used my intelligence to the degree I can use it. Now I want more experience, and I want to see what the experience feels like. And at a certain point, you never throw away discernment, but at the same time, you can't get locked into that where you're not moving any longer. What do you think? Where were you going with his
I agree with what you say. In one sense, it just comes down to where you get in the inspiration and the energy and the answers and the experience. That's where you're feeling it, where you're feeling it's transformative, where you feel like this is making me a better person. This is giving me a better way to look at the world. This is getting me excited to wake up every day and pursue it with deeper integrity and deeper sincerity, deeper enthusiasm. It may be this. There may be truths in many traditions. See which one gives you excites you and really, I would say what keeps me interested in this particular path is I find it really holds up to a very broad and rigorous kind of analytical examination. Right. No matter how many, I see how broad it is. This is a massive tradition, scripturally, what it offers there in terms of philosophy, what it offers in terms of theology, what it offers in terms of like the science of yoga and how to, psychology, you could say,
food,
and all the science of the culture.
Yes.
Yeah, which includes food and in all of the cultural traditions that somehow this is a massive thing. It can't if someone's going to what's the word, dismiss it, if someone's going to step forward and try to dismiss it, they better be ready to have a very thorough kind of thing, because rebuttal. If it's not, then it's going to be a very superficial thing. It's something that you really, to begin to wrap your arms, you can't wrap your arms around it. It's so huge. There's a medical tradition that stems from it. There's so much there, and it's consistent, right? It's consistent. It's like it's not like it's not like you pull a little string and the whole thing falls apart. So that over the years that faith is only solidified and crystallized, for myself. And then I want to see, is it transformative? Does it actually change my life? In one sense, most importantly, my life, right? Because we can most clearly judge our own experience. But and do I see change the lives of others? Now, if I look around and I say, well, that person's practicing this, but it doesn't seem like it's transforming them the way that I'd be looking at it. Well, that's kind of like looking at a hospital and saying, there's a lot of sick people here. Yeah, of course, there's a lot of sick people.
This guy's not getting better.
Yeah. But do I see people? It doesn't have to be everybody that's practicing it, but do I see people that have practiced it well and sincerely, and I admire them. I say, what they've got, that's what I'm looking for, right? They're how they relate with other people, how they discipline themselves, what is their own character, how has it transformed their character? Then these things can be faith building. But as Raghunath's saying, ultimately You have to pull the trigger. You know, the time is ticking away every day, and indecision is as problematic as wrong decision, I suppose you could say, or it can be. Indecision is a decision itself. It's a choice not to act. And so we all got to act. So you take your steps forward, and you just like if you're trying to follow a map, if is it moving me in the right direction? Is it, if I wanted to get to a warmer climate and I got a map that's showing, the south is this way and it's warmer there, and north is this way and it's follow this way, and it keeps getting colder, maybe it's not the map for me, or maybe it's just not a valid map. So you step forward step by step, and you see the effects of it. But Krishna says, what is it in the 4th chapter?
Says for the doubting soul, there's
yes, neither
happiness in this life nor the next
nor
life.
the next. So different people have different psychologies. You can see this. Some people, they get inspired and they jump into something, both feet. And some people have a hard time, committing, whether it be to a job or moving somewhere or a marriage or whatever. Like we just all have different psychological dispositions. And so we have to try to understand also, like, what's my psychological disposition, and how is that a strength? How does it work for me as a strength, and how does it work for me maybe as a weakness? And so I'm not saying that I'm not psychoanalyzing you, but the question has that feel to it, like, how will I ever know for sure? Well, you know what, you're not going to know for sure until you start to walk it and practice it. And that's the only way that you'll know for sure that this, not only was this path valid, but that this path for me really will work. I think it's a path for every soul, honestly. I mean, but it's a fact. People are different. They come from different places. They have different experiences, and they want something different too. It's a question of, what do you really want in life? What if you were to frame what it is that you see as the very goal of life? If you were to say, I want to have a heart that's entirely free of any kind of selfishness, and that's capable of loving 100% purely. And I say, okay, this is probably the path for you. Like this, that's exactly what this path is all about. People would define what they want in different ways. I want salvation. That's this path is going to say that's not what you'll get that. But like, this isn't designed for that. This is designed to transcend that. So if you want to transcend all the religious the limitations of quote unquote religion, and get into the deepest spirituality, and if you understand the deepest spirituality as love, divine love for every living being, for God and for every living being, then this is something you definitely want to explore and experiment with. So yeah, but as Rug was saying, and I think it seems that you're doing it. You got a bead bag around your neck. You're coming to all these. You listen to the show every day. You're moving into the temple. So it doesn't seem like you have trouble. But and then you give it time. Give it time. One thing that Raghunath did say, that the quality of the people that you spend your time with will make a very big difference. And that means, like, in general, you want to be around good people, and you also want to find, with bhakti really works this way, that there should be one or two or three or a few handful of very special people that you want to seek out. Even if you can't be around them all the time, you want to try to connect with them, hear from them, especially, most importantly, hear from them. That can really build conviction. That kind of conviction is contagious in a sense. Like, when you're with someone with very strong conviction, you see that it's working for them, it's naturally inspires one. And that is largely how conviction and bhakti spreads, I think.
I'm convinced people like Happy Jack, and just because I've known him for a little bit, when you get to this point of this deep sincerity, then Krishna starts sending you the right people.
Yeah.
Krishna is a real person. It's not just like an idea. He's not just a painting or a poster or a cartoony looking. He's a real reciprocal being. And when you get very sincere, he starts putting people that can speak your language.
Yeah.
I've met devotees, I don't jive with them. I just don't. I don't.
Others do. I don't.
I don't know. Okay, you got a lot of disciples. People think you're interesting. I don't think you're that interesting. I don't think you're bad. I just don't
You
jive
don't do
with
it
you.
for me.
You don't do it for me. And so Krishna will send the person that speaks your language to you. It's as if Krishna's tagging this person. Speak to this person. I know no one else will do it. And what I found on my path was like, truthfully, I don't really get any of these people, but this one person I get. And then as I grew into that, more and more of those people that I get started appearing,
Or you understood exactly why you didn't get someone else, and it's not an issue. It doesn't slow you down at all.
Yeah. But I have to be eager for it. Krishna's like a gentleman. He's not going to come into your life unless he's invited. So when we're chanting or when we're petitioning, we have to strongly petition, Krishna, enter my life. I really need you in my life, Krishna. And then Krishna will come.
That's a very good point. And I think combined with that, like, in other words, I've certainly experienced, and shastrically it's sound, that when you're sitting with someone that's like that, someone that's deeply advanced in bhakti, and that can communicate it in the way that appeals to you and inspires you, then you take a step, a step of deeper conviction. Now the important thing is you don't lose ground. It's not that you can't question it or so on, but like, if you can remember that in that moment, how clear things were to me, and has anything valid come up to really challenge that, or is my cloudiness just due to something else? Right? Like, that made perfect sense. The way that it was explained, the way that I understood it, it made perfect sense to me. Now I'm doubting it. Why am I doubting it? Has something valid come up, or is it just I'm in a mood? Is it just that, try, if as an observer of the mind, right? A yogi observes their own mind, and a yogi, a bhakti yogi, can say, in that point, I understood, and now I'm not understanding why. Is it because I'm getting lazy? Is it because I'm watching television all the time? Is it because I'm just hanging out with people that don't get this? And so therefore my material attachments are rising, and I'm starting to rationalize different things. Is that what's happening? Or is there a valid idea that's contrary to what I had a conviction about? And I think I've found that in my own life, I've been able to do that. It's that, in that moment, I got it. Let me get back there. Because it's nothing valid that's holding me back. It's just my own weakness of heart, weakness of conviction that's getting in the way. It's so discernment can be there all along, but is it valid discernment that's slowing me down? That's confusing me, that's making me hesitate, or is it just something else?
I think there is. Now, I don't think this is true in Happy Jack's situation, because I feel like he's chosen a path and he's moving forward on it. But there are people that are sort of getting to the precipice of bhakti, and they're just like, I can't choose. Right. And that's a real problem. It's almost like you have a 4-year-old and you say, what kind of ice cream do you want? We have 36 flavors. And they're just like, and they just get lost in that. And it's almost like you got to
pick up a shovel and start digging somewhere.
Yeah. You got to find.
Never gonna hit water.
Yes. And so, if things make sense to you, even reasonable sense, take a little step forward.
Yeah.
It's not like you're locked in there. You can walk away from it anytime you want. But if it makes a little sense that there's one supreme being and has many different names and appears to many different cultures, and there's God in every living being, not just the human beings and not just your people, and there's no really such thing as an enemy. I concocted that in my mind. And mantra meditation, sound affects the mind and the consciousness. The mind, the senses have to be controlled for me to find peace in this world. And we're part of something bigger. We are tiny parts of something bigger. We're not meant to be the center. We're meant to serve the center. If these things start to stack up, it's like, that makes reasonable sense. Then take a tiny step forward. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Thank you, Happy Jack.
Thank you, Happy Jack.
I will.
Let's hear it for Happy Jack.
Reedy.
I don't know who's
anybody
next.
left from yesterday.
I know that Maha had a question.
Maha Lakshmi.
Maha Lakshmi.
Mahashakti. I'm calling you Mahalakshmi all week. Mahashakti Harry Ball.
Mahalakshmi is the Shakti tattva. So,
Yeah. She's a whole lot of Shakti. She's a
Really happy to be
Mahashakti.
here. Okay, all right.
Yeah. And you're living in Long Island,
I live in Long Island.
and you've been a devotee for a long time.
Yes.
And you're having a resurrection now in your bhakti. Is that true? What
My
No?
resurrection happened about 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
What happened?
I lived in New Vrindavan for 13 years and I left in 92 and took a little break.
Took a little break. Okay.
And
Sometimes you got to take a break and reassess.
Yeah, and my reassessment was I was so thirsty for devotee association that I came to Long Island and I found my teacher Millard and met you, and my life went back on track.
All right. Great.
So,
Beautiful story. And you're such a nice devotee. I'm glad to have you around. And ever since I met you, I've noticed that very bright aura that you carry with you.
thank you. You too.
Mhm.
You guys inspire me. All right, my question is,
And she's another. She's a real serious other. She listens to the show. Oh, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that.
Circle, circle. Okay, so my question is if
Talk right in that mic.
okay, if the Maha Mantra is the Yuga Dharma for this age, did we just start chanting when Lord Chaitanya was born, or did people chant the Maha Mantra before that?
good question. Good question. Mahamantra.
Mahalakshmi.
Yeah,
Mahashakti.
as you like. Mahashakti. Want to take that?
Uh,
Mahamantra.
From what I there's a historical thing. From what I understand, is the Maha Mantra. First of all, the Maha Mantra is eternal. There's not. We like to think of things have a beginning. There was no beginning to the Maha Mantra. It's an eternal mantra, and it's a mantra that's been chanted. It's in the Upanishads, and so people have always been chanting it in the same way of Krishna. People have always been worshiping Krishna, even though Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago. It doesn't mean people weren't worshiping Krishna 6,000 years ago. Krishna bhakti is eternal. Love of God is eternal. It's like we shouldn't think like bhakti has a beginning. As long as there's been jivas, spirit souls, and as long as there's been God, there's always been a demographic of jivas who are unsatisfied with the material world, and they're trying to reconnect with God. So the Maha Mantra has been there, but sometimes things go in and out of popularity, and some great masters come and resurrect them, sort of excavate them, just like sometimes people will get, back into Mrs. Pac-Man. They have these video games, all really high thing. I know it's a pretty lame analogy, but sometimes they'll resurrect these vintage video games and they'll get back in fashion, or a novel, from the, from the 1800s will get back in fashion. People start reading it, or a song, will start coming back in fashion, maybe a song from the 70s, and someone will use it in a soundtrack. And my kids will sing some song. I was like, how do you know that song? They're like, oh, it's in the new Shrek movie, So, so the Maha Mantra has been brought in the forefront. And then you could even say it disappeared again. And in this Bhakti Renaissance, it's happening now. It's been back in the forefront again. There was a big Renaissance that happened in the 1400s, 1500s. And then you could say it sort of could dwindle to one sense, and then it sort of exploded now. Now it's very explosive. How would you answer that question, Mr. Special K?
Yeah, I think the way you said excavate, that makes a lot of sense. In other words, you can go to the Upanishads, you can go to the Puranas, Maha Mantra is there. And maybe and even there, sometimes it's there with a little apostrophe
Caveat.
or that, thank you, asterisk. That's saying in the Kali Yuga, this mantra is going to become important, right? And so maybe the most famous one is the Kali Santarna Upanishad, which states Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashakam Nam Nam Kali Kalmasa Nasanam Nata Parataropaya Sarvavedi Shudrishite. That the 60 names of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, they destroy all inauspiciousness, all the inauspiciousness of the age of Kali. This is the conclusion of all the Vedas. So there it is. And it may not have been the most popular mantra all along, but it said in this age
Mm.
that this mantra is to be chanted. And then you have a Yuga avatar who reveals, excavates, in a sense, the Yuga Dharma, that in this particular age, what is the most effective, efficient yoga practice. And so the Sankirtan is identified as that, and the avatar that demonstrates it is Sri Chaitanya. In our lineage, that's our faith.
Sometimes people could even argue and say, well, that seems so random and unfair. It's like, what about the people who are born before us? Or maybe in the 1930s in New York City, but they don't have any access to the Maha Mantra. And the answer is no, they didn't. For the most part, they didn't. And that is a good fortune. There's sometimes you'll walk into a supermarket and it's like, congratulations, you're the 10,000th customer. You got a free shopping spree. They used to do stuff like that in the old days. But my point is, yeah, we're actually very fortunate because this method of God realization, which is very, very inclusive, very, very broad-minded, not dogmatic, not with this concept of an angry, ferocious, punishing, sadistic higher power, a very healthy way to grow into your spiritual life. It was sort of like dropped on our lap. And because of that, yeah, we are fortunate.
Sure. And of course, one could say, if someone really wanted it, they, instead of taking birth in Toledo, Ohio in 1930, they could have taken birth in Calcutta in 1930 and been exposed to it.
Sure.
So there's that, but what you're saying is also very important. This concept that in this age, because this age is so problematic, difficult, that really Krishna comes in the form, in his mood. His mood as Krishna is Madhurya, very sweet. His mood as Sri Chaitanya is Audarya. It's like he's given it to people that aren't even qualified to get, that haven't qualified themselves through their purifying their desire. He still wants to give it. And so Maha Mantras becomes the simplified way to practice yoga, the simplified way to do sacrifice. It's special like that.
Very, very intricate, detailed ways of performing different rituals with mantras and like details of things. This is like self-realization for dummies.
Simplified.
Very, very simple. Very, very simple.
And yet delivering the highest
highest to like the lowest.
Yeah.
And people might say, well, that seems like a little unfair. It seems like I didn't have to study that much. I'm just teaching me how to chant. Yeah, it's not fair. It's called, you got tons of mercy. We're not qualified in any way. And it actually works. It's not like we're just saying this. We're trying to sell you something, sell you this car without an engine. The actual thing drives great. And if you don't believe me, get in and drive it. You don't have to believe me. Just get in and drive it. And if it doesn't drive, then get out of it. But it actually works. It actually starts to transform your life, transform your choices, transforms your, reprioritize your life. It actually tangibly works. And I've seen, and you don't have to preach it to me anymore. I get it now. I get what and what also happens is the mirror starts to rise in front of your face and you start to see, oh, I get it. This is why I was sad. This is why I was unhappy. I was living in this false reflection of the self. There's a real self, and then there's this false concept of myself. And I've been trying to like use that to serve my ego again and again. And it never actually made me happy, connected, or joyful. I'm going to try this and see how it drives. If the whole thing sounds like, well, how could that be? And why are we so fortunate? And that's all there is to it. Believe me, this well goes really, really deep. And it does seem very simple. Offer your food to Krishna, sing songs, chant a mantra. That seems easy. Try it. Try it. Try to live in a world where you stop criticizing people, where you get rid of enemies, where you start to try to see yourself as part of something bigger. You're here to serve and not be the center. This is very difficult because we're so entrenched in our ego and our self-importance. It's so ugly. But this mantra actually scrubs you clean. Do you remember Scrubbing Bubbles, that commercial? Scrubbing Bubbles, Scrubbing Bubbles. You spray it, and it's like, they have all these little scrub brushes scrubbing. That's what the Maha Mantra is, like scrubbing bubbles on the heart.
Yeah, and speaking to your
Scrubbing
thing about excavation and the idea of there
You
being,
like that excavation, huh?
Ooh, I'm working with it.
Okay,
I'm
go
working
go with it. Run with it.
That in different ages there are different dharmas that are revealed by different avatars. I was thinking of it in terms of like Ayurveda, right? Like there's lots of different Ayurvedic doctors, Ayurvedic clinics, and I'll be honest.
Be honest. I want you to be honest
sometimes
today.
I
Because
wonder-
usually you're pulling my leg.
No, but sometimes I wonder. I'm like, I see people go to these clinics and it's always like punch of karma, punch of karma, punch of karma, punch of karma. It's like they're always giving the same thing, or they're also then they're doing the oil.
Shirodar. Drop that oil in my third eye.
And sometimes I get doubtful, and I just say it just seems like these doctors are just giving the people what they want. They're just in collecting money. I'm not even saying that like I'm just questioning.
You're just a New Yorker, and you're a little bit more
qualification.
discerning.
And then I know of an Ayurvedic doctor who their expertise is a little different. In other words, the way that they approach is they say that in this particular age, in this particular world that we're living in, there's certain trends that are there. One trend is we all work crazy long hours and never get rest. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But another thing is that we've been given many different types of medicines, like antibiotics and other things that are having particular effects on our bodies that need to be addressed. And you go down a whole list of things. So like this one Ayurvedic doctor that I'm aware of, they say that we're doing all kinds of things that are heating the liver, that are creating all kinds of different problems. And when you do panchakarma, generally that's going to heat your liver. So it actually, it may be appropriate in so many circumstances, but in this day and age, for most people, it's not going to be too helpful. It might be helpful for some people, but
where are you going with this, Squirrel Master?
Well, my point is that every age is different.
Okay.
People in this age are very different than they were an age ago, 2 ages ago, or 3 ages ago. Their minds are formed in different ways. So the meditation that was suitable in the Satya Yuga, we don't stand a chance of that. And even though it's written that those meditational practices are written about in those ancient books, good luck practicing them today. So you need someone that knows what to excavate from these different texts. And so in our lineage, our faith is that Sri Chaitanya was the avatar of Krishna that came to reveal the Dharma for this age. He extracted it from the Upanishads, from the Puranas, etc. And then he popularized it. And I think that goes to the other part of your question, where people chanting it before. People were chanting it before, but it wasn't the dominant practice. Whereas out of the Bengali Vaishnavism, it became that this Maha Mantra is the Yuga Dharma. And that became not the only practice within that lineage, but the predominant practice, the predominant dharmic exercise, I suppose you say. Okay.
And again, and it works.
Yeah.
You sing enough kirtan, you'd be chanting that mantra all day long. You can't help it. It stays in your mind. You're walking around going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Next thing you know, your mind is getting purified. All right, who else we got for questions here?
Do we have another one?
Miller, do you got a question?
Was there someone that had a question prepared? We don't.
Well, there was a.
Oh, Maya, right? Maya had a question.
Maya had a question, and
we need her.
Linda,
we could just bring her in. Maya, you there?
Maya, come in, Maya.
Let's
see, where's that smiling face of Maya?
I don't see her. Oh, there she is. Okay, there we go.
Hi, she's waving.
Yeah.
Okay, hi, Maya. We're unmuting you.
You have to unmute yourself.
You have to mute yourself. Haribol.
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 Maya.
Haribol, Maya.
Oh, we're getting the.
Why are we doing that? How's that happening?
Because it's coming through her computer. It's echoing.
Hold on.
You better get and run over here right now.
Okay, yeah, just run over here. She's coming. She's coming. Here she comes. Okay.
Maya's Maya came to our training in India.
Yeah, you tell us
last year. She didn't really know much, but she's very musically inclined. She wasn't like.
What's that?
That was this year. That was January.
Yeah.
And she started studying kirtan and liked it and stayed on. And then she just got like very, very inspired. And she's a nice young lady from San Francisco, and she's very gifted singer. and actually like presenter. She's got great like stage presence, you know, and she really commands stage and a school teacher, yes, and she must have been playing cartels from a previous birth, because I've been trying to play these cartels for about 35 years now, and I still sound like one of those wind-up chimps hitting the cymbals. Maya's like the Tchaikovsky of cartels.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to play cartels if you hadn't given me any. And
See, that's what devotees say. Okay.
You have a question?
Yes. So my question comes from, we were talking about yesterday. I think it was uploaded on Patreon. For anyone who wasn't there. Yeah, join the Patreon.
Yeah, on Patreon. Yesterday, I gave like a 2-hour talk. We had a 2-hour discussion on moments of awakening.
Ooh.
And that's been posted up on Patreon now. So
What's
Patreon
it about?
members-
Moments of awakening, when people were awakened.
It's about it examined a couple moments of awakening that are there in the Shastra, and then it presented one idea that one could grab onto, and if we really embraced it and tried to understand it, how would that awaken us? How would that transform our life?
Okay.
So that's there for Patreon members. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. We started talking and going into a little bit about what bhakti means for different people. And so for me, as I came from a space of more non-personal, I kind of was like, oh, I'm a person that believes in the universe and having gratitude and feeling love for the universe, to now coming back to Krishna consciousness and more God consciousness. So my question is, how would you describe the difference between a non-personal love, maybe gratitude for the universe or love in that way, to love for God, and how that differs, and how kind of bhakti can help us to dive deeper into our self-realization and consciousness?
So difference between, I think you said it in a concise way before, but difference, do you want to say it?
Yeah, the difference between love of the universe and love for God.
Good question.
Excellent
Good question, Maya.
Thank you. Let's hear it from Maya.
All right, Bull Maya. Great soul.
You start, Ruggle. Go for it.
And when you meditate on even nature, both in its beauty, sort of like looking out at the ocean on a cliff, or the Grand Canyon, or Yosemite and the geysers. Big Sur, perhaps. There's just or the night sky outside of the city. It's just like sort of breathtaking, overwhelming, humbling, and just in a great appreciation for this universe is so great. And with that appreciation, there's sort of like a connection in my tininess to something so great. To actually fall in love, though, you sort of need to see yourself as separate, not like I'm part of this big thing out there, but there's a separation between me and this higher power who has personality, and that personality is eager for a reciprocal relationship. Not just like I want to have a relationship with God. God actually is very interested in having a relationship with me. Matter of fact, God may be more interested in a relationship with me than I am with him. God is actually eager. And if we study the life of the life of Krishna, you see he's so eager to be with his devotees, with Draupadi, or with Sudam the Brahmin. And all these stories make us to deeply fall in love with Krishna. So we don't want to be one with the universe if in bhakti. We want to be two. We want to be me and my higher power, my source. And then when I want to fall in love, I want to know the details. I can't say I love Kaustubha, and then someone says, and Mara's like, well, what do you like about Kaustubha? It's like, I don't know. Well, what do you like about him? I was, I don't know. I just
love
what do you love about the person? You fall in love with the person's personality, their character, their quality. They make me laugh. They're intelligent. They're smart. They take good care of me. We start to learn about the person, and then we fall in love with them. And that's why we are regularly hearing these stories of Krishna, because you can't help but falling in love with him. What would you say to this question?
I think within spiritual circles, there's all over the place, you'll find this talk of quote unquote like universal love. And
Yes.
so what is exactly that? That can remain vague.
I fell in love with the planet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, one sense though, just the word universal means like an all-encompassing. Like there's nothing outside of its border, right? That I've found love for everything, for everyone. We would say that the path of bhakti leads towards universal love. And when you go to texts like the Bhagavatam, it's going to help you understand that through analogies, like saying that if you love every leaf on a tree, then you feed the root. It's the
I
root,
like where
right?
you're going with this.
The root is the path to every leaf. We don't really have the capacity. You could picture a really big tree.
If there was a trophy right here, I'd pass it to you right now.
Oh,
This is the better answer.
Well, no, your
Ignore
answer is
mine.
great.
No, it wasn't that good. This is a better answer.
All right, thank you.
I like where you're going.
But if we picture like a huge tree, sometimes you see a tree that's so big and got so many leaves. If we were to want to genuinely connect with every leaf, genuinely engage with every leaf, honor every leaf, love, because they say love is a verb, not
love
just
is a verb,
right? So
what do? Do you pet each leaf? Is that what you're talking about?
You won't succeed.
You won't
don't have
succeed.
the capacity.
One leaf, next leaf, next leaf. Get in line, leaves.
So, but if you address the root, if you approach the root, then by going to that one spot, you naturally connect with the entire every leaf on the tree. And so so now that being said, we're all like these kind of like damaged, abused, hurt, injured animals, like
like the mean dog.
Yeah, like
who's been beaten.
Maybe you know more about this than me. But like I'd imagine if a dog's been abused and everything, it's not like everybody can just come up. It's going to have to learn to love like one person first. Is it like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 And so we're kind of like hesitant to love a figure that we're frightened of. Love a figure, bow down to, love this figure that's like all powerful.
Bow down to anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody say that. I don't bow down to anybody.
Yeah. So, but to love the universe, where we can open ourselves up to that possibility, right? Okay, the sun rises and that's glorious, and the sun sets and it's beautiful.
The sun's not here to abuse me. Maybe.
But my point is,
go to the desert.
I think psychologically,
right?
It's easy. We're talking about this yesterday about the real hesitation towards the love of a personal God, in my opinion, has more to do with not so much with logic, but with it's psychological, right? Yeah,
not logic, psychologic.
That it has to do with the state of our mind more than to do with the logical reasoning.
Some of us have been hurt by people.
Yeah.
And when you say God's a people, a person, we're thinking, oh no, I know people. I want to just sort of like love the universe. Why does the universe have to be a person? Can't I just love the universe?
And the Bhagavatam actually speaks to those people. It says, if that's where you're at, then look at the universe and think of it as the body of God, and then go ahead and love the universe. And if you start to live that way, if you honor the universe and love the universe and try to love everything in connection with the universe in that way, it can you can heal, just like an abused dog can heal, and at a certain point it begins to open itself up to the genuine affection that others are showing. Just because one person abused it doesn't mean that everybody's trying to abuse it. And so if we look at the universe as the body of the God, we begin to feel a sense of gratitude that's healthy. We begin to feel a sense of our heart begins to kind of soften, which becomes healthy, and we become healed in that way gradually. But if we're fortunate enough that we can go right to that root, right from the beginning, then quickly we can transform. So Bhagavatam is trying to point us, Vedas, Upanishads, these are all there because we're not ready to wholeheartedly open ourselves up with love to God. Now, and this is my my analysis of Bhagavatam, that our acharyas, Jiva Goswami and so on, they've made their very solid rational presentation that it's clear Bhagavatam is the conclusion of all of Vyasadev's works, of all of the Vedic literature, that Vedas build to Upanishads, build to Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita, and then ultimately, there's Puranas, but the Srimad Bhagavatam was very intentionally where the author Vyasadeva, he very intentionally said, now I'm going to reveal where the ladder leads to, and I want to present it in a way that you can't mistake it. And so, if the Bhagavatam is the pinnacle of it all, still the 10th canto becomes the pinnacle of the Bhagavatam. And the Rasa Leela within the 10th canto becomes the pinnacle of all the pinnacles.
The pinnacle of the pinnacles?
Yes, it's the cream of the cream of the cream of the cream.
Ooh.
And so right there, what do we have? We have the example of the gopis, and they're standing before Krishna, where Krishna plays his flute, and the gopis all come running out, and their hearts are called by that sound. And on the way to run out in the middle of the night, all of those religious kind of hurdles pop up. The father, this is wrong, you cannot do this will be bad. They go around, over, underneath, whatever they have to do to get past those hurdles to reach Krishna. And then they reach Krishna standing there under the Vangsivat tree on the bank of the Yamuna River with the flute at his lips, and he puts down the flute and he says something to them that is like it's like teasing. He says to them, what are you all doing here? Why have you come here? This isn't right. He starts to speak from that religious, moral kind of code. You should, for young ladies to run out here to be with a boy in the middle of the night. You should all go back to your homes, go back to your families, go back to your dharmas. Your street dharma. Like your domestic, responsibilities, and be good girls, be good religious girls. And by him saying that, what it does is it opens the door for the gopis to speak the conclusion of all the Vedic literature, in a sense, right? Now from the hearts of these sweet young cowherd girls comes something that's more important than the Upanishads and all the sages, everything that's spoken there. And they say, with tears in their eyes, they say, dear Krishna, please don't ask us to go back, right? In a sense, what they're saying is all of that, everything else, nothing will satisfy us. That life will not satisfy us. All we want is to serve you with love. Please accept us. That's all of the yoga, all of the mantras, all of the ritual, all of that. The entire tradition is just meant to get us right there where we can open up and be vulnerable, not be guarded, but to stand there vulnerable, crying, saying, just please accept me. Now we've achieved the goal of yoga. And so we might not be ready to stand there like that, and express ourselves like that. We may be like, I'm ready to love the universe, right? But that person, no, I can't.
Intimidating.
Yeah. But it's actually, again, it's through loving that person. If you were to love all the universe and not love one person in the universe, your love is not yet universal. It hasn't encompassed the entire universe, right? There's this, but so it's only when we love Krishna, when you love God, is your love actually universal. And in one sense, it's the only way to have complete universal love. But there's this, I think Modi adopted a slogan that's from the Upanishads. That's Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Have you heard of that?
No.
It means like the whole world, the whole universe is one family, right? Is that? Yeah, the whole universe is one family. And so that's our faith, that the entire universe is one family. Just like every leaf on a tree is one family. It's not like they're all individuals. I mean, they are all individuals, but they're all individuals as part of one family. Their identity is both as an individual and as part of one universal tree, And so every living being is like that. And but again, it's when you get to that root, then you can love that entire tree. When you get to the root of the universe, then you actually have that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that universal love. And that's how it's done.
Beautiful, Mr.
Thank
Kostuba.
you. Are we all done?
Thank you. Miss Mara?
Yeah,
Oh, hit it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks for the live crew, live at Super Soul Farm. Say Harry Bowl, everybody. Woo, look at this beautiful posse. Oh, they're everywhere today.
The sun's coming out today, right?
And the sun's coming out. You know what? We transcended the rain yesterday. It was rainy, and we decided, you know what?
Cozy. You got
The
cozy.
rain just means you get cozy,
Yes.
and sun means you get sunny. It's going to be a sunny day. Whenever you add Krishna to the day, things become brighter. Things become brighter. Let's clap our hands now. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on Zoom. You want to join us on Zoom, you email Mara, wisdomsages108@gmail.com. This is a community-supported podcast. If you like what we're doing, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. We got quite a sweet community here. Let's keep this thing going. Where's Henry? What's Henry doing? Get over here, Henry. You think you're on vacation? No. You get your butt over here. We got some seva for you. You're going to be digging holes today, Henry. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. It's a beautiful day. For a beautiful day, let the magic continue to flow. See you tomorrow at 8 a.m.